Your son was awake.
Before sunrise, he's your son.
Dad, come on, Dad. Dad.
The Lion King gave us unforgettable characters, a wise king, a curious prince, a villain consumed by bitterness. But behind them all stood Sarabi, dignified, silent, unshaken. She was the queen before everything fell apart, the last light in the Pride Lands when Mufasa died, and the lioness who dared to defy Scar when no one else would. But in The Lion King 2, Simba's Pride, she's gone. No explanation, no mention, no grave, no goodbye, just erased. And once you notice her absence, it changes the way you see everything. In the original Lion King, Sarabi doesn't get many lines, but every moment she appears, she commands it. She walks beside Mufasa as his equal, not submissive, but sovereign. She raises Simba with warmth, but never weakness. And when Scar takes the throne, Sarabi stands between him and the ruin of everything. Sarabi reminded Scar that he was never chosen, and in doing so, she risked everything. When hyenas surrounded her, she didn't flinch. She had no power, no mate, no guarantee of survival, but she had the truth, and she spoke it.
Mufasa's death is a terrible tragedy. But to lose Simba, who had barely begun to live, for me, it is a deep, personal loss.
Now, fast forward to The Lion King 2, Simba's Pride. It opens with Simba ruling the Pride Lands. Nala stands beside him. A new cub is born. Life has returned. But Sarabi, she's nowhere. She doesn't appear in the film. She's not mentioned in the dialogue. There's no image, no flashback, not even a passing reference from Simba. It's as if the lioness who once held the kingdom together simply never existed. And that's not just a narrative oversight. It's a deeper silence. Because Disney never explained why. There was no press release, no creative commentary, no behind-the-scenes note saying, "We chose to leave her out," just absence. And for fans who grew up seeing Sarabi as a symbol of quiet strength, that silence felt intentional. But was it? In the next part, we explore the behind-the-scenes controversy and the tragic reality of the actress who voiced Sarabi and what her fate might reveal about the queen Disney left behind.
Mufasa. No, it's me. Simba, you're alive? How can that be? It doesn't matter. I'm home.
In 1994, Sarabi was voiced by Madge Sinclair, a Jamaican-born actress known for her regal presence and commanding voice. You may recognize her from Coming to America, where she also played the Queen alongside James Earl Jones, a casting choice that mirrored The Lion King itself. Sinclair didn't need many lines. Her presence said it all. In fact, the directors of The Lion King have said in interviews that Sarabi was purposefully underwritten, not because she was unimportant, but because she represented silent resilience. And Madge delivered that with quiet power. But in December 1995, just 1 year after the film's release, Madge Sinclair passed away from leukemia. She was only 57 years old, and that changed everything.
Really cool.
So where is this really cool place?
Oh.
When The Lion King II, Simba's Pride entered production, Disney faced a choice. Should they recast Sarabi, or should they write her out entirely? They had recast others before. Zazu was replaced. So was the original voice of Simba, even Rafiki. But Sarabi wasn't just a voice. She was a tone, a presence, a symbol of strength, grief, and grace. To replace Madge Sinclair would have meant giving her lines to someone else, rewriting a character built on restraint, played by a woman who had passed away. So what did Disney do? They said nothing. No tribute, no credits note, no official explanation. They simply erased Sarabi from the sequel. Not even a memorial scene, not even a line from Simba. "I miss my mother." Just silence. And that decision hit differently, and especially for fans who knew the real story. Because it wasn't just a missing character, it was a legacy left unspoken. Let's pause here. Sarabi wasn't just the mom. She wasn't a background lioness. She was one of the only black mother figures in early Disney animation, portrayed with dignity, strength, and autonomy. She wasn't comic relief. She wasn't the villain. She was regal, poised, fierce when it mattered. And yet, she's not even mentioned in the sequel, not once. In a story about royal lineage, parental legacy, and healing generational trauma, leaving out Simba's mother wasn't just a narrative hole, it was a cultural erasure. Because Sarabi didn't just survive Scar's reign, she lived through famine, war, exile, and still stood tall. She helped hold the pride together after Mufasa's death. And when Simba returned, she was one of the first to back him. Her absence in Simba's pride makes the story feel thinner, lighter, less anchored, as if the kingdom was rebuilt without the very lioness who saved it. Here's where the story gets strange. Because while The Lion King 2 ignores Sarabi completely, another Disney sequel quietly brought her back. She was animated, named, alive, and almost no one noticed. Now we'll reveal the forgotten project where Sarabi did return, and what it says about the story Disney almost told. While The Lion King 2 Simba's Pride made no mention of Sarabi, another Disney project quietly did. In 2004, Disney released The Lion King 1.5, a comedic sidequel showing the events of the original film through the eyes of Timon and Pumbaa, and in that film, Sarabi appears. Not in a new scene, but in carefully reanimated flashbacks that remix footage from the original movie. She has no dialogue, no new lines, but she's there. Disney could have left her out entirely, but they didn't. And here's what's interesting. The Lion King 1.5 was released 10 years after the original. They had every opportunity to update or remove her from the narrative, but they kept her in. Why? Because somewhere in the creative process, someone knew Sarabi mattered. She may not have been central to the comedy plot, but her presence anchored the emotional weight of the story, especially in moments involving Mufasa's death. In short, she was part of the emotional DNA of The Lion King, even if later sequels forgot.
And to protect me, a great big fat guy.
Let's take a step back. By the early 2000s, The Lion King had become its own universe, with sequels, prequels, spin-offs, and even a stage show. But here's the thing, not all of it connects. The Lion King 2, Simba's Pride gave us Kiara and Kovu, but no Sarabi. The Lion Guard introduced new cubs, villains, and lore, with no mention of Sarabi. The Broadway musical kept her alive, central, and spiritually connected to Mufasa. And The Lion King 1.5 quietly preserved her memory. It's as if each version of The Lion King exists in its own timeline, with its own rules, and Sarabi's presence or absence tells you what kind of story you're watching. In the original film and Broadway show, it's a mythic tragedy. Sarabi is central. In Simba's Pride, it's a romantic succession tale. Sarabi is erased. In 1.5, it's a parody and remembrance. Sarabi is respected. In The Lion Guard, it's children's adventure. Sarabi is irrelevant. And that makes her absence in Simba's Pride even more noticeable, because it wasn't just about runtime or focus. It was a deliberate shift in tone, from myth to melodrama, from grief to growth. And in that shift, Sarabi didn't fit.
He asked for trouble the
Without Sarabi, The Lion King 2 lost more than a character. It lost a generation. Think about it. Mufasa is gone. Scar is gone. Sarabi is gone. Simba rules a kingdom without the elders who shaped him. Kiara grows up with no grandparents. No stories. No memory beyond what Simba can provide. That's not just a narrative gap, it's a thematic one. Because The Lion King was always about inheritance. Not just of power, but of wisdom. And Sarabi was a living bridge between old and new. By cutting her out, Simba's Pride became a story about succession, without reflection. A story where lions grow up, without guidance. And maybe that's the most tragic loss of all. But what if Sarabi's absence wasn't about voice actors or sequels? What if it was a symbolic decision to reflect what happens when rulers refuse to grieve? In the final part, we'll explore the emotional depth of Sarabi's disappearance, not as an oversight, but as a statement about Simba's trauma, denial, and what it truly cost to become king. Let's return to Simba. In The Lion King, we see his grief unfold in real time. His father's death, his exile, his shame, his return. But what about his mother? We never see Simba grieve Sarabi. Not in the original, not in Simba's Pride. It's as if once she served her purpose, she vanished from his story. But maybe that's not an accident. Maybe it's a reflection of Simba's deepest flaw, his inability to face loss. Simba runs from grief. That's the whole point of the original film. He hides behind Hakuna Matata. He ignores the past. He avoids responsibility, not just for the kingdom, but for his own heart. And in The Lion King 2, we see a king who is still scared. He doesn't trust his daughter. He clings to the memory of Mufasa, still taking advice from a ghost, and he never once speaks of his mother. Not because she didn't matter, but because maybe it hurts too much. Sarabi's absence might not be about storyboards or casting. It might be a mirror of Simba's emotional repression, the grief that went unspoken, the goodbye that never came.
Somebody once told me that the great kings of the past are up there, watching over us.
There's a long-standing pattern in Disney films. Mothers vanish. Bambi's mother is killed. Ariel's mother is never shown. Belle's mother is a ghost of the past. Elsa and Anna's parents are lost at sea. But Sarabi was different. She was present, powerful, visible. She survived the first story. She should have been a part of the second. So why follow the same pattern? Some believe it's easier for Disney to write stories without maternal complexity. A missing mother creates clean stakes, emotional urgency, a vacuum to be filled by action. But it also creates a wound, a story where wisdom is always male, where female leadership is temporary. And Sarabi, a queen who ruled through silence and strength, didn't fit that model, so instead of evolving her, they erased her. But fans haven't forgotten. In fan art, Sarabi stands among the great kings. In theories, she's remembered as the only lioness to ever defy Scar to his face. In cosplay, illustrations, and essays, she's celebrated not just as Simba's mother, but as the real backbone of the pride. And in every rewatch of The Lion King, you can feel her presence, in the way Simba walks, in the way Nala leads, in the unspoken courage passed down through generations. Because even though Disney never gave her a grave, Sarabi never truly died. Maybe the darkest reason Sarabi isn't in The Lion King 2 is because her strength made people uncomfortable. She wasn't flashy, she wasn't funny, she didn't sing, but she held the pride together with dignity when everything else was falling apart. And maybe that's the kind of power that doesn't get sequels, but it should. Do you think Sarabi's absence was a mistake? Or something deeper? Was it about casting? Budget, or something unspoken in Simba's heart? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear how you remember her. And if you want more emotional deep dives into the stories behind the characters we grew up with, like this video and subscribe to Hidden Behind the Screen. By clicking the bell, you're not just staying updated, you're joining a community of people who still believe animated films have more to say. Until next time.